to have conversations like this. Thank you to those of you who came in on time. Arthur believes, and is a culture accord. I think they have the most rigorous and the most aggressive clocking system of any organization, civil society or otherwise, which they have kept for some years. They believe in keeping time. And for this dialogue, we believe that we should not waste a lot of your time because of people who come late. So we will start at the time we're supposed to start, and we'll determine to end at the time we're supposed to end this engagement. Each one of you on your tables, you have a copy of the program. You have some info material on your tables. I encourage you to look through them, to read them, so that when we begin the dialogue, we're able not just to listen, but we're able to follow the discussion, and we'll have opportunity to engage and contribute as people in the audience, apart from the ones that will be either speaking to us on the podium here and those who will be sitting in these chairs when we do the panel discussion. I've been made to understand Dr. Arthur Benomcha, Executive Director at Accord, has been here already, and he's ready to give us his opening remarks. The PSST, who's our chief guest, is going to give us some opening remarks. I understand he's on the way. But the CDF General MK yesterday was talking about convoys and saying people with flashing lights. So I don't know if he's caught in a bit of traffic jam around the corner there. We've been menaced by convoys and flashing lights from big people. And, the sirens. We are breathing some relief. Sitting in an hotel by the roadside where big people sit, and we haven't had any sirens in the last 30 minutes. I think that's great relief. We're excited about that. We hope it stays a little longer. But Mr. Ramadan Govi should be here. Before he entered government, he told us about the economy that works. We need to find out the one that he manages, how effectively it works for all of us, how included we are. We will have this citizens feedback platform. You've been seeing the advert running. We'll have somebody take us briefly through what it means before it is officially launched. Then we'll have a statement that talks about a budget that works for citizens. CS Bag is an expert in this area. It's been working with government and working with other civil society people to make sure that we're able to get to understand the budget, not just the numbers, not just the allocations, what that means. So CS Bag will run us through that, and then we'll do our keynote address assessing the government's budget strategy for financial year 2024-2025 to deliver inclusive economic growth and transformation. It's a whole 72 trillion shillings. We're not yet sure whether we are able to raise domestic revenue, tax and non-tax revenue, of about 30 trillion. And God will somehow provide for us the 40 trillion, the 42 trillion that we need to run the budget. But we'll go into that. Then we'll have a panel discussion. Will be staffed by very senior people, very experienced people, to discuss the government's budget strategy, to discuss interventions in addressing vulnerabilities and inequality, to discuss optimizing spending of the limited resources and finding solutions for the increased debt. The president said last week that debt is not Uganda's problem. We're still way below the threshold. People are raising drums and saying that we have hit the threshold 52% of our GDP. We're actually still in the 40s. We haven't crossed to the 50s. But there was an interesting discussion that the president had about how we measure our GDP performance. I mean, our economic performance. Do we use power purchasing power parity, or we use something different to arrive at the numbers, and where that would put us either way? And he said our economy is right now at where South Africa's economy was in 1994 when the apartheid. I was reading a report this afternoon. The South African economy only grew in the past 10 years after the end of apartheid. It's been either stagnant or regressing over the last 20 years of their 30 years. We just had an election the other day, hoping to get a government. Maybe we will do the comparisons when the time comes. And then one critical question that we need to deal with is the fiscal discipline and accountability measures. Fiscal discipline and accountability measures for effective budget implementation. If you read the budget audit, the audit of the budget, and for every financial year from the National Planning Authority, it normally provides some interesting information on how these annual budgets operate and what they give us, which institution is running theirs, how. We expect that we'll have a plenary session. If you, uh, if you, ladies and gentlemen, support me, we'll have a good plenary session that allows as many of us as possible to engage and contribute our ideas, not just be listeners or spectators. And but we expect that we should be wrapping up about 4:40, 4:40, that by between 4:40 and 5 o'clock, we are getting out of here to try and hustle with the traffic and leave or deal with what is left of our day. So thank you very much for coming over. Thank you very much for keeping time. We are live streaming this dialogue. So I encourage you to use your social media platforms. We have a Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi is GCHBQ1, all in capital letters. The Wi-Fi name is GCH-BQ1. The username is in small letters, Mr. 4, MR4 is the password. I mean, is the username. And the password is UG at mgrant2. I will spell that out. Let me just confirm. And we'll share those details for us to be able to engage. In the meantime, let's interact, let's engage with one another. Let's find new people, and we should be able to start in, yeah, it's 14:37, 2:37, about 7 minutes. The schedule, I'm looking through the audience to make sure that one or two other people are here before we actually get rolling. Thank you.
Delivering public works and services is a process that requires joint efforts and participation. We hear sounds that call people together. Introducing the Citizens Feedback Platform, a platform by OAG where citizens can inform the Office of the Auditor General on service delivery concerns. The Office of the Auditor General is the supreme audit institution of the Republic of Uganda, mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, to produce reliable and high-quality reports promoting good governance, transparency, and effective accountability in management and use of public resources. The new Uganda lives on the phone, where they share ideas, interact on a daily basis, and discuss matters of public interest: health, agriculture, water, lands, education, roads, infrastructures, electricity. The participation and information generated by citizens will help the Office of the Auditor General to follow up issues raised, thereby supporting the community. This application is easy to handle and is always in the palm of your hand. So, inform the OAG through the Citizens Feedback Platform and help build your community. Inform, engage, influence. CFP, an initiative of the Office of the Auditor General with support from GIZ. Delivering public and services is a process that requires joint efforts and participation. Here sounds that call. Introducing the Citizens Feedback Platform, a platform by OAG, where citizens can inform the Office of the Auditor General on service delivery concerns. The Office of the Auditor General is the supreme audit institution of the Republic of Uganda, mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, to produce reliable and high-quality reports promoting good governance, transparency, and effective accountability in management and use of public resources. The new Uganda is on the phone, where they share ideas, interact on a daily basis, and discuss matters of public interest: health, agriculture, water, lands, education, roads, infrastructures, electricity. The participation and information generated by citizens will help the Office of the Auditor General to follow up issues raised, thereby supporting the community. This application is easy to handle and is always in the palm of your hand. So, inform the OA with the Citizens Feedback Platform and help build your community. Inform, engage, influence. CFP, an initiative of the Office of the Auditor General with support from GIZ. Delivering public and services is a process that requires joint efforts and participation. We hear sounds that call people together. Introducing the Citizens Feedback Platform, a platform by OAG where citizens can inform the Office of the Auditor General on service delivery concerns. The Office of the Auditor General is the supreme audit institution of the Republic of Uganda, mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, to produce reliable and high-quality reports promoting good governance, transparency, and effective accountability in management and use of public resources. The New Uganda is on the phone where they share ideas, interact on a daily basis, and discuss matters of public interest: health, agriculture, water, lands, education, roads, infrastructures, electricity. The participation and information generated by citizens will help the Office of the Auditor General to follow up issues raised, thereby supporting the community. This application is easy to handle and is always in the palm of your hand. So, inform the OAG through the Citizens Feedback Platform and help build your community. Inform, engage, influence. CFP, an initiative of the Office of the Auditor General with support from GIZ. Delivering public goods and services is a process that requires joint efforts and participation. We hear sounds that call people together. Introducing the Citizens Feedback Platform, a platform by OAG where citizens can inform the Office of the Auditor General on service delivery concerns. The Office of the Auditor General is the supreme audit institution of the Republic of Uganda, mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, to produce reliable and high-quality reports promoting good governance, transparency, and effective accountability in management and use of public resources. The New Uganda is on the phone where they share ideas, interact on a daily basis, and discuss matters of public interest: health, agriculture, water, lands, education, roads, infrastructures, electricity. The participation and information generated by citizens will help the Office of the Auditor General to follow up issues raised, thereby supporting the community. This application is easy to handle and is always in the palm of your hand. So, inform the OAG through the Citizens Feedback Platform and help build your community. Inform, engage, influence. CFP, an initiative of the Office of the Auditor General with support from GIZ. Delivering public works and services is a process that requires joint efforts and participation. We hear sounds that call people together. Introducing the Citizens Feedback Platform, a platform by OAG where citizens can inform the Office of the Auditor General on service delivery concerns. The Office of the Auditor General is the supreme audit institution of the Republic of Uganda, mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, to produce reliable and high-quality reports promoting good governance, transparency, and effective accountability in management and use of public resources. The new Uganda lives on the phone, where they share ideas, interact on a daily basis, and discuss matters of public interest: health, agriculture, water, lands, education, roads, infrastructures, electricity. The participation and information generated by citizens will help the Office of the Auditor General to follow up issues raised, thereby supporting the community. This application is easy to handle and is always in the palm of your hand. So, inform the OAG through the Citizens Feedback Platform and help build your community. Inform, engage, influence. CFP, an initiative of the Office of the Auditor General with support from GIZ. Delivering public goods and services is a process that requires joint efforts and participation. We hear sounds that call people together. Introducing the Citizens Feedback Platform, a platform by OAG where citizens can inform the Office of the Auditor General on service delivery concerns. The Office of the Auditor General is the supreme audit institution of the Republic of Uganda, mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, to produce reliable and high-quality reports promoting good governance, transparency, and effective accountability in management and use of public resources. The new Uganda lives on the phone, where they share ideas, interact on a daily basis, and discuss matters of public interest: health, agriculture, water, lands, education, roads, infrastructures, electricity. The participation and information generated by citizens will help the Office of the Auditor General to follow up issues raised, thereby supporting the community. This application is easy to handle and is always in the palm of your hand. So, inform the OAG through the Citizens Feedback Platform and help build your community. Inform, engage, influence. CFP, an initiative of the Office of the Auditor General with support from GIZ. Delivering public goods and services is a process that requires joint efforts and participation. We hear sounds that call people together. Introducing the Citizens Feedback Platform, a platform by OAG where citizens can inform the Office of the Auditor General on service delivery concerns. The Office of the Auditor General is the supreme audit institution of the Republic of Uganda, mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, to produce reliable and high-quality reports promoting good governance, transparency, and effective accountability in management and use of public resources. The new Uganda lives on the phone, where they share ideas, interact on a daily basis, and discuss matters of public interest: health, agriculture, water, lands, education, roads, infrastructure, electricity. The participation and information generated by citizens will help the Office of the Auditor General to follow up issues raised, thereby supporting the community. This application is easy to handle and is always in the palm of your hand. So, inform the OAG through the Citizens Feedback Platform and help build your community. Inform, engage, influence. CFP, an initiative of the Office of the Auditor General with support from GIZ.
Once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to each and every one of you. We gathered here together this afternoon by the Advocates Coalition for Environment and Development, CODE, and CSBAG. CSBAG has been auditing budgets for as long as you can remember, and this is an annual event where ACORD, for many years now, in partnership with CSBAG and others, have been putting us together to do a post-budget presentation dialogue, a high-level post-budget presentation dialogue. We live streaming. For those, we have an audience that is online following us. We have an audience that is here, yourselves. I did run you through the activities for this afternoon. It's only fair that we start now. I'm going to request that in honor of our country, we all stand and sing to the national anthem. And then after that, we will have a prayer. And after the prayer, we will have welcome remarks from the Executive Director at ACORD and from the Executive Director at CSBAG. And I will announce what will follow. So we welcome officials from the Ministry of Finance who are already here. You're most welcome. Various civil society leaders, other government officials, you're most welcome. Let's stand in honor of our nation and sing the national anthem. Thank you very much. Could you remain standing and ask Leah else Kahunde to give us a short word of prayer.
Let us humble ourselves for a prayer. Our Father God, we thank you for this blessed day. We thank you for gathering us here to discuss matters of the nation. Pray for your blessed hand upon us, those who are going to discuss. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I said that we are live streaming this event. The Wi-Fi name is GCHBQ1. The username is MR in small letters 4, MR4. And the password is UG at M capital GRATN2. You have those on your tables. So just check on your table and save your data for now, and but be able to communicate with the rest of the world. We're having a dialogue here on the budget, the national budget for the financial year 2024-25. May I now, without wasting much time, invite Dr. Arthur Benumcha, Executive Director at ACCORD, to come and make welcome remarks. Dr. Benumcha, I request that once you're finished with your remarks, invite your colleague Julius to also speak to us. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator Charles Paji. The permanent secretary and secretary of the treasury in absentia, in understand is on the way. My colleague Julius Mukunda, executive director CS-BAG, the technical officers from Ministry of Finance, leaders of civil society organizations present, the media fraternity invited, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let me take this opportunity to welcome each one of us to this high-level also dialogue on the budget, financial year 2024-2025, whose theme is transforming challenges into opportunities, prioritizing economic growth with a focus on people-centered budget outcomes. Under the Budget Transparency Initiative, BTI, ACCORD works in partnership with CS-BAG, ODI, and Ministry of Finance, promote budget transparency and budget accountability in this country. We've done this, we have organized this dialogue over time. And the main objective of these dialogues that we have done over time is to popularize the budget, is to share information about the budget to as many Ugandans as possible, to increase citizens' understanding and awareness of the budget so that they can hold their leaders account. This is intended to reduce the leakages of the budget, to improve service delivery in our country, and unless the citizens understand the budget and are able to scrutinize it and demand from the elected leaders, largely elected leaders and the technocrats, then service delivery can go down. So I want to thank Minister of Finance, ODI and CS-BAG for a job well done for a long time. I know that our work is not in vain. Uganda has ranked well, budget transparency and accountability, largely on transparency, but less on accountability, because we still have challenges of leakages. But ladies and gentlemen, we are here to fulfill that opportunity of sensitizing and getting awareness. And thank you for coming here. And I'm happy we have another audience that are watching us and are learning us and are learning and are here listening from us to know what is in their budget. And the PS, who is on the program, give us a keynote address, to give us very detailed ingredients of our budget. Ladies and gentlemen, our economy has been doing well comparatively. I understand in the region we have done well as a country. Our economy on average, we can talk of growing at an average rate 5.5, but by the end of this financial year at 6%. Now, we are rivaled by Kenya. It's been growing at 5.6, Tanzania 5.4. So you can see that Uganda at 6% has been a leader, only beaten by Rwanda that grew at 8%. So I want to congratulate our technical Minister of Finance, the PSST officers at Finance, and of course civil society, Bank of Uganda, for keeping our economy afloat and actually growing when actually the rest of the world economies have not made it, are not doing well. So can you give them a round of applause? I have been told that we also need to look at the bright side and appreciate our people, motivate them to do more. And I think I want to congratulate the Minister of Finance and his team for keeping our economy. It could have gone down. Ladies and gentlemen, our budget is financial year 2024-25 is 72.1 trillion Uganda shillings, and it's one of the biggest budget. I understand we have a bigger budget than Tanzania, and that is good. But it faces a number of challenges that we need to work together to be able to roll back those challenges, to be able to improve service delivery, grow our economy, improve standards of living for our people. One of the challenges that are likely to affect our budget is climate change, which is real. And I'm happy also that NEMA has now finally gotten courage. It's like Munera and Peter Brad. That finally Munera got courage to act. And I have seen NEMA acting in the region. And I want to advise Ugandans to allow NEMA do its work. We have been saying they have been silent, they are weak, but now they are acting, then you have people condemning them. If we do not work on climate change adaptation and mitigation, all the economic gains can be easily washed away. As you have seen in Duda, you've seen the rising levels of Victoria, we can miss the point. So we need to act smart and decisively on restoring the degraded areas. And actually, specifically now, we need also beyond the lakes, we need rivers that are also being degraded. If you went to River Rizi in Western Uganda, Kochi and others, very degraded. And of course, that reverses our pace of development. The budget also should be mindful of regional and global geopolitical tensions. The war in Ukraine, cannot forget about it. The war, the stability in the Congo can easily also cause us distortions. I also, another challenge, of course, is the debt servicing. While the Ministry of Finance tells us that it is manageable, but I think we need to be very, very, very careful in the way we are contracting our debt, the way we are managing servicing our debt. There are challenges there that my colleague Julius Mkunda would expound on that, because that remains the challenge if we have non-performing loans that actually whose interests are accruing to our country. Of course, fluctuations of global commodities, but also, of course, corruption. It remains a serious threat to our economy, to our security, our survival, and I'm glad that the government is taking serious and decisive decisions dealing with the root of corruption. I think for a long time we wanted to see decisive actions because while corruption cannot be eradicated, it can be hit to keep it at least underground. That we should never meet a corruption in the streets of Kampala and shake its hands. Corruption must hide wherever it is, so that we are able to improve the quality of lives of our people. So I'm happy, and I think, ladies and gentlemen, let us applaud the president for what he's doing with our MPs. My own prayer is that they will be tried, they will face a due process of law, and if found guilty, they pay. Yeah, but I think it is reducing the sanctity of the parliament, that the parliament has become transactionary, is actually a threat to democracy. You can have a reversal. Who respect a parliament that actually changes the budget for its own interests. Their job is oversight, approval, but not to allocate to themselves. So leave it, because they will be produced in the course of law. Now, I want to also thank the minister and the PSST because of their investment to restore about 42,450 hectares of the great land I've already talked about, and they have put money to that effect. The final point I want to appreciate the ministry is about and the government is the PDM. The PDM is, for me, one of those very important vehicles that is intended to lift about 39% of our people that outside the money economy, bring them into the economy, in the money economy. I think it's a fundamental achievement. Now, the challenge is the implementation. And I wish the Minister of Local Government are here to tell us, because there's also a lot of corruption. People have been receiving 600,000, 500,000 instead of 1 million. That is earmarked for them. And because of the still ignorance, lack of awareness, people still clap because they think it's free money. And I've been told in Guru, a lady received money, bought a mattress, bought a music system, said for the first time I've gotten government money. But they are supposed to pay back so that it rolls over to other people. So there is still lack of awareness, and the Minister of Local Government and indeed the Secretariat for the PDM work hard. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I represent a quote from a code, Advocates Coalition for Development and Environment. We remain committed as members of BTI, Budget Transparency Initiative, to promote transparency and accountability in the budget process. And what we bring is evidence-based research, is honesty and integrity. So I look forward to very frank, honest discussions from this audience, which can help us to advise government to lift our people out of poverty and give confidence. Thank you very much for listening to me, for God and my country. And on that note, let me invite Mr. Julius Mukunda, Executive Director, CS Park, to give us a position paper of civil society on the budget. Mr. Julius, can you receive him?
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, God, for partnering with CS Park for quite some time, as we try to see how our government can collect money fairly, but can also spend this money fairly. They are simple words, but extremely very difficult when it comes to the details. I also take the opportunity to thank Minister of Finance for this partnership for quite some time. We have been working with them for a long way for purposes of promoting budget transparency and accountability in the country. Today, we again share with you our perspective on the budget. We are also glad that we will be having the PSST joining us. I was telling him that it's going to be his maiden speech because he has never met civil society organizations to deal with them. So when he comes in, he will allow me, I will stop the meeting so that he can be able to address us. He's currently attending an urgent matter, and we cannot understand the budget. The budget is coming to an end, the new one is coming, but we'll be glad that he can step in. So briefly about CSBAG and the code, the CSBAG, we're a coalition of 100 organizations formed in 2024. And our vision is a Uganda with a people's budget that dignifies humanity, and we work toward ensuring that resource mobilization, allocation, and utilization is inclusive and transparent. Uganda, and code is an independent public policy research and advocacy think tank based in Uganda, working in East and Southern African regions on a wide range of public policy issues. And the core business is policy research, analysis, outreach, and capacity building. Their vision is an inclusive, sustainable, and prosperous Africa. And their mission is public policy work for the people. So that's who we are. So how do I start this? A few facts. We've been working so hard to make the budget more transparent in this country. And how are we faring? The recently released Open Budget Index survey shows that in terms of transparency, we are still at 58. At least we didn't go back to 57. No, I mean 59. I think that's a very good mark. One mark is very important. We are only missing 2 marks to provide adequate information to the public, and we hope we can do that. And we did not do that because probably ourselves and the budget transparency team, we uploaded our citizens' budget late. But we would, if we had done that, I'm very sure we would have done better. In terms of oversight, and this is especially the OAG and Parliament. And really at this point, I would like to thank OAG for helping us to really push our mark from 59 to 67. Please give them a clap. And what does this mean? It means that OAG now consults the public on how they conduct their audit. And CSBAG is happy and glad to partner with them as they try to promote platforms that can increase citizens' participation and engagement with the Auditor General's office. In terms of participation, this is where we have a very big problem. By the way, all these groups are up to 100. In terms of participation, public participation in the budget process is where we have a problem. We have been declining since 2018. We are now at 15. This is not a good mark, and yet we've tried so hard to open the space and work so hard. This is an area that we've challenged ourselves with Ministry of Finance, with the Parliament, so that we can see how this mark can definitely be able, can definitely improve. I will quickly go to, we need to understand how our neighbors are doing before we begin to either praise ourselves or blame ourselves. So in terms of the East African region, we have realized that when it comes to growth, Kenya is still very dominant. It has maintained 5.6, and we are currently at 5.2, but we are projecting 6%, which I think is good. But the bitter part is that at least growth is coming back to growth rates we are rebounding back to what we do. In terms of inflation, Kenya continues to have the highest headline inflation at 5.1, followed by Uganda, and Tanzania has the lowest. So you can go to Kenya and sell your goods and services. Probably the kaunga there, the price might be slightly higher than in Uganda. So that's very key and very very important. In terms of interest rates, Uganda has the highest lending rates in the region for private sector. This is and you definitely see that in terms of commercial lending rates, Uganda is the highest, followed by Kenya, and Tanzania is the lowest. So what is the magic and what? In terms of central bank rates, the rates at which the central bank set their interest rates, as of May, Kenya had the highest bank rate of 13%, and Uganda had 10.5, and Tanzania 5.5. Tanzania so low. I don't know how these guys are managing. It's so low. The inflation is so low. The interest rates are so low. So this is something I think for us as a country in Uganda we need to learn, and also we need to understand how we can anything can learn from there. When it comes to budgets, we found out that Kenya has the biggest budget, 30 billion, if you put it in dollars, followed by Uganda, 19.3 billion, and then followed by Tanzania. Our budget is bigger than Tanzania this financial year. But when it comes to domestic financing, how we are financing our budgets, we are finding that Kenya, with the biggest budget, still finances its budget. When I say it's financing, it means domestic financing, the amount of money it raises domestically to finance budget, it finances 83.5% of its entire budget before borrowing. Tanzania finances 70.1% of its budget before borrowing. And Uganda, we finance 44.3% of our budget. So that's something we need to learn and see how can we really improve our domestic resource mobilization. Because this goes along with to determine our debt sustainability issues. Specifically for Uganda, I think we have talked about this. We can say our growth is coming back. We hope growth will come with revenues, growth should come with employment. Growth should also come with happiness, because you can be rich and also you find yourself very angry and hungry. That's what it's talk about. In terms of exchange rate, the shilling has stabilized, but still at a higher rate, but still the range of between 3,600 and 3,800 as of now. We think it is something that Bank of Uganda really has tried to manage. We pride ourselves in Uganda. We are in charge of, we know how to control inflation. In this country, when inflation comes, we bring all the guns. And in a very short time, it must go down and get splinted back where it is supposed to be, below the target of 5%. And as you can see, that's why it has been. It's becoming a bit stubborn by going up, but we know the rains have come back. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall produce more and definitely stabilize below 5%. And it is very important. We don't need to take these things for granted, ladies and gentlemen, because they do affect the cost of doing business in this country, but also marketing and pricing of our commodities. Trade deficit, it narrows, expands, but as you can see, is that the down on the graph, we should be above 100 to start getting some surpluses. But as you can see, if you compare January 2023 to April now, you can see that the trade deficit has slightly increased. But on a monthly basis, we see that, for example, early March, 403 billion, but now we are 309 million. So we need to export more. That's what it means. We need to export value products. You know, instead of selling kasori, which is just grain, we can send kaunga. Instead of sending eggs, we can send pasteurized eggs. That's adding value to the products we have. We can do it to close this gap. For private sector credit, what the conclusion we are having on this one is that we still have here in this country, personal loan and household loans take the biggest share. So we borrow to pay school fees, for example. You can actually even borrow to buy food. But probably your counterpart is borrowing to start a factory. That's the difference that we are having. So if we talk about growth, if we talk about employment, if we talk about increased production, we need to see how agriculture manufacturing can actually uptake more loans, because that's where we can have more more leverage and more returns. So it is very important and critical that government policies help us to move to that. In terms of our budget for next year, 2024-2025, these are the sources of financing. We have a 72 trillion budget, and these are the sources of financing. We are seeing revenues 0.9%, budget support, domestic financing, domestic refinancing, project support. But again, I think for me, my major area here is on domestic resource, on domestic revenues, because we need to ensure that that blue becomes big than any other share there. You remember what I told you about Kenya and Tanzania, because for them, for Kenya, that blue is 83%. But you can see ours is. So what do we need to do to ensure that that 44% increases 3%? It's a huge task that we need to do to expand, and a number of things can be done, especially ensuring that each and every person pays their fair share of taxes. I don't know if you have heard about cow tax, for example. It is something that probably we need to think about. So that's where money is coming from. And all these have implications in terms of how we finance our budget, and also in terms of where this money is going to come from. Because if we cannot find our own budget, then we are likely to get into debt. Over the years, this has been our revenue performance. I think the most important part to notice is that despite not hitting targets all the time, we seem to see that there has been growth in revenue collections. Because if you look at 2018-19, we had 16 trillion.3 to collect. I mean, we collected 16.6 trillion. But if you come to 2023-2024, we're 29. So there is growth in terms of collecting revenue. And I think that is very important, especially in terms of administration, checks that have been put in place, but maybe also very hard on us to pay. That is also another area that I want to look out for. But I think a lot of work has been done here. We can even still do more better, so that at least we can enhance revenue performance. Our budget has also been increasing over some time, and we can see that for this particular financial year, our budget is likely to increase by 20 trillion, jumping from 52 trillion to 72 trillion. And between me and you is where we're going to get this money to finance the budget. And I think that's where the question is, on whether we have the capacity first to collect all this money, but actually whether we have the capacity to spend all this money. So that's the other important element that we need to understand and discuss this. In terms of program allocations, we see human capital development, where education and health are. They're taking the biggest chunk of the budget, 26.3%, followed by governance and security, 24%, and also others, up to mineral development. In terms of mineral development, 1.6 billion, which is 0.1%. So it's important to know the shares of these sectors, but also to know the value. Because if we sing and say tourism is a hot cake for Uganda, and then you give tourism 4 billion for a whole financial year, maybe it is something we want to think about and see where we can do the allocations. If you say agriculture is the backbone of the economy, and then 1.6 trillion, maybe it is something one to debate and think about it. But that's how the allocations are, and that's how we are going to go with. So based on that, we've been trying to think the budget to see if there are any opportunities that an ordinary person might want to think about, or business people, small and medium enterprises might want to stretch themselves to benefit from this budget. For heaven's sake, it has been passed. That's what we have. Let's prepare ourselves to benefit from it. I have been in talk show and somebody was telling me, and I like get out of your bedroom, go and get a new idea on how you can get PDM money because PDM money will do everyone. So we took time to look at a few things. And one of the things, of course, is that there are some expenditures on investing in human capital, expenditures on peace and security, transport, railway, wealth creation, and maintain existing infrastructure. But specifically for boosting household incomes, we realized that youth livelihood program has been allocated 8.7 billion. Women specifically, they have a growth program of 824 billion. The PWDs have 13.5 billion. The older persons, 5 billion. And of course, we have the PDM, the Juakali enterprise, and also the Emyoga with there's a trillion for PDM, 100 billion for Juakali, for Emyoga, and then 3 billion for Juakali. So these are monies that government has put in place, and we ask our youth, we ask the elderly people to position themselves to be able to benefit from this budget. In terms of health, we see allocations to Uganda Heart Institute, 57 billion. We see allocations to Cancer Institute, 38 billion. We see 20 billion for the rehabilitation of general hospitals. We see 567 billion for essential medicines and supplies, that is national medical stores. But also we see 26 billion for primary health care services. And I think for me, this is critical in terms of dealing with service delivery. For education, we are seeing 38 primary schools will be built, but also we are seeing 14 billion towards the revolving expansion of 36 secondary schools. We are seeing 4.9 billion for instructional materials. We are seeing 28.4 billion for TVET and definitely many others. So why am I labeling to do all this? Because is that as civil society, when we are here, we need to know these amounts and we need to be able to follow them up because it is now our opportunity to begin monitoring how the budget is going to be implemented. There are so many other opportunities. The private sector, there is the SG, as you recall properly, is that we only have one room, and without this, without it becomes a bit of a challenge. 144 billion for district, urban, and community access roads. And then you heard one day the president says that the roads in the villages are better than even in Kampala. So that is something that is coming up. We are also seeing 8.2 billion for museum and heritage sites. We are seeing 12.7 billion for the source of the Nile. This is money for tourism, especially for the source of the Nile. And I think that I was also funding for Rwenzori, improving the infrastructure in Rwenzori. Yes, 11.2 billion for tourism infrastructure in Rwenzori, especially for our tourists who come to visit the Rwenzori area. You'll also find private sector development of industrial parks. We hope this time this money will be shared. As you recall, is that some of this money for industrial park alone was done, and then people decided to sit down and share what was remaining, 500 million. 50 billion for capitalization and project credit facility. support farmers, but also processors. So for those who are interested in commercial farming, the SCF has been also capitalized, but also capitalization of Uganda Development Bank to be able to provide credit for our businesses. Government has an ambitious plan of a 10 for growth, anchored on three major areas. That is agro-industrialization, tourism, development, science and technology. We believe it is possible. But you have to do things different, not the way we do them all the time. Because if you set a target which is extremely very high, you definitely need to do things differently. For us, we believe that to do that, you need to double your growth from 6% to 12%. To double this growth, I mean, a lot of things must change. Maybe you need also to double your. But you need to increase financing to the above programs, the four programs, on an average of 1.6 billion Ugandan shillings for the next 15 years. Maintain a micro stability inflation of 5%. But you also need to put in factors such as environment, like my brother Arthur has said, because environmental change risks are real, and therefore we need to ensure that we take them into consideration. So it's a huge task for us as government of Uganda. It can be done, but we fundamentally change it. We deliver our work to be able to achieve the 10 for growth target. To achieve the budget outcomes, I think one of the areas is to address our increasing public debt situation. Because you saw in the previous slides where I was showing that we are only contributing around 44% of our entire budget. That means the other budget, we are borrowing resources. But also is that it's just not about the number, that we are at 53%, we are at 97 trillion. It's about the impact the debt has on you. And you'll find out that you start paying more in interest rates, and yet that money would have really done something on the ground. So to achieve the budget outcomes, we need to deal with the situation of debt. I think for me, I'm beyond whether we are sustainable or not. Me, I'm on the question of we need to address this monster before it becomes unsustainable. That's my take on this. But we are glad that the government has seen this. We are glad that the government has realized that the challenge that we're likely to face with our debt situation, and also they have put in now in place mechanism to tackle this challenge, to ensure that we can only borrow money from concessional loans. That's concessional borrowing. I think that's very, very important. We avoid domestic borrowing because that crowds out private sector. But also we borrow for infrastructure investments. The business of us borrowing to pay salaries and also to pay operations should stop. We borrow to ensure that that road, that hospital is going to be finished and to be finished on time. So that's one area I think for us we think is very, very important for us to be able to achieve the budget outcomes that we have. The second area where we need to address in terms to ensure that we get the budget outcomes we want is on expanding our domestic resource mobilization. As you can see, we contribute a very small portion of our entire budget. We would be proud to be like the Kenyans, 83%, and we can do that. But we can only do that if we expand our efforts. And here we have two major recommendations. One is that URA should make partnerships, streamline collection that is within local government and competent private players. URA will never collect taxes from all the border points of Uganda. It's impossible. But working with districts that have got borders, it could be easier for URA to collect this money. Urban centers in this country, all of them have got property registers. Working with urban centers in this country, urban center can collect property tax at the same time rental tax at an arrangement with Uganda Revenue Authority. And we believe that it is possible that it can be done. So that at least every person, wherever we are, we can be able to contribute to the national basket. So it's quite very important. The other element is public investment management. And I think that despite the work we have done on ensuring that we improve this particular area, where we have strengthened our development committee, have an integrated bank of project, enhanced monitoring of projects and programs, there is a lot to be done. And I think with this, if we cannot spend money on time and on budget, it becomes a challenge to realize the benefits of the loans that we are acquiring. Like the minister said, when he's going to ask for a loan that is treated like a child, is in his maiden speech. It's not easy when the government is asking for these loans. But it is sad that after getting them, then we can't be able to spend them. 14.4 trillion is undisbursed loans. We know that. We should have a strategy to ensure that we reduce that figure. It comes down. So, and the Auditor General has put a pen to this. We know in the last budget, funds for 28 sampled projects worth 778 billion failed to absorb 118 billion. So, really, why is it happening? It is happening because one is politics, because you want the road to go to my area, you want school in my area, you want a school in my area, and it influences the way we do these things. But at the same time is the issue of land in this country, the land question must be sorted out. If it is not sorted out, these projects are not going to be built in the air. We are going to continue having these problems. Because we know that there are individuals who will say, you need to give me $1 billion, I don't want your compensation. So the project is stuck. But we also know those who say, the project is coming in my land, I need $1 trillion also, which we don't have. The project becomes very expensive. In that way, we take 2, 3, 5 years in negotiating of that property. There must be a way of ensuring that the rights of the property owner is respected, but also development takes place. So that's very key and also very, very important for us to be able to do this type of work. The other one is avoid risky investments, because the little money we have, if we could also try to ensure that we put it in areas where we know we are sure of that. We know it's now that the presidential banana initiative is almost a ghost project. But time and again, we are sinking in resources. There is that moment in life when you say, this is a rose, and you leave it, and then you move on, you start something else. I think this is the time we need to think about those particular areas. Ruwawa is another area. You know, it is our monster here. They are wondering how to grapple with it. And these guys, they are not taking little money. 475 billion, Ugandan shillings. So we can list so many of these. Then at the same time, we say we don't have money to pay our intern doctors, for example. That would be sad. So avoiding this risk of investment, I think for me is very true. And we have already provided alternatives and said, if there is a company that wants government support, let us put in place guidelines on how to support them. Because governments across the country support private sector. They bail them out. But the difference is they have got guidelines on how to bail them out. So that my colleague from Oboko, if he wants to be bailed out and has a small shop, they know where to go and what to do also to get that real money. Not only for the girls and boys in town. The other element we need to avoid is budgeting for corruption. And two cases here, which I have already mentioned, is that, when we say budgeting for corruption, is that now we are trying to make the system, the legal system, provide legal framework on how you can actually use public money for your private work. And nobody questions it because it is legal. What you will do. That's how it is. So if this pen is 1,000 and the government in the budget it is 20,000, they will go ahead and put 20,000 and you will not complain. That is corruption. When you see people now sitting down, look at a loan contract that has got a commission on it, which they put there, and then they share the money, it is illegal, by the way. If you go to court, you won't. But it is immoral. It's unacceptable that you, in the situation that we are currently in. So we really need to shape up and fix the system so that we put some logic on how resources can be spent, so that those who need it most can get it fast. You cannot put in the budget because you're a very important person so that we can buy you. I mean, it's illegal. It is in the budget. It has been appropriated. So you find that there are measures that have been now crafted to ensure that resources are put in plans, resources are budgeted for, resources are also appropriated. That's why our friend MP is trying to censure the commissioners of parliament. They are saying, but you passed this money during the budget debate. So why are you complaining? So those are the things we are going to fight for. What should be in the budget must definitely address the challenges that we face as a country. So as I wind up, what is it for us to do as a social organization and as citizens of Uganda? I think for me it's important that we will take seriously the way government collects and spends money by monitoring. Because as long as we stay in our houses and say your government, I can tell you by the time you get out, you will not find anything. So it's quite very important that we use the platforms that have been put in place by government, because we've engaged the government in so many ways on how we can effectively engage it. Let us effectively engage government. That health center in your area is yours. The MP will never use it. So if it doesn't function, it is not his problem. It's actually your problem. The primary school, the water points. So let us ensure that they function and that monies that are utilized effectively. We are happy that we have a budget website. That's an incredible way to access budget information. That you can know how much money has been budgeted for your sub-county and for your school. This is incredible. You can use that information to be able to do that. We're even now happy that we have Auditor General on our side. When you say, but this road, the way I look at it, probably it was not finished well. It can inform the Auditor General that probably next time he's going to audit. He wants maybe this time around not to stop at looking at the papers, but maybe visiting the road that you talked about. So we need to be vigilant. We can't say, be our government. We need to engage our leaders. How many of us have called the member of parliament saying, please go and sign that petition in the parliament? How many of us have the telephone numbers of the chairperson, your councillor in the area, your chief administrative officer? Because we need to be vigilant. If we don't, it will be better our government. But also we need to speak out issues which we think are distorting budgeting and planning. Because I can tell you is that politics is at the center of these things. So if we leave politics to manage these things, the result, then we can't complain if we don't want to ensure that the right things have been done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And it was a pleasure making this presentation on behalf of Accord and
Can you give another big round Applause to Julius Mkunda. We missed the one for Dr. Arthur nomination, so can we give it to him now? Thank you, Julius. I let you roll on for a little longer because I think what you're doing was to really break down the budget and locate each one of us in it and ask fundamental questions on how we find ourselves in that budget, which questions we ask, who we need to ask those questions, and for those smart enough or smarter than us to be able to find how they can benefit from it if they provide some supplies to government. I'd like Amedistas to recognize some members. Each and every one of you is very important here, but because of one reason or the other, I'd like to mention some of these names of people Amedistas. We have a man they call DP. He's been missing in action for a long time, but he used to run he was, I think, at one time, the youngest minister, one of the youngest ministers in Museveni's government in many years ago. Then he ran a security operation in the country, and then he did an audit of parliament. DP is David Okol, ED Atafe. DP, you're most welcome. Good to see you here. We have Miss Margaret Kakande. Miss Margaret, if you could stand up for a moment for recognition. I'm sure she doesn't need a lot of introduction, but people who need to get closer to DP's table and find out who she is and what she does. Mamtaz Ismail. Mamtaz, you're most welcome. We will be having you come speak to us in a few minutes here. Patrick Kichoncho. Patrick Kichoncho Katabazi. Where are you seated? Yes, Patrick, you're most welcome. That one is a tax expert. Patrick Tumwebaze, Uganda Debt Network. Patrick, I think you owe us something. When you started campaigning for debt, or against debt many years ago at Uganda Debt Network, we have run through 7 rounds of debt forgiveness. Highly indebted poor countries, HIPIC, and our debt is growing. So I maybe you'll speak to us at some time. Miss Angela Kasule, ED ISA. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome amidst us the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury, Mr. Ramadan Gobi. Mr. PS, we're glad that you made it. We know the challenges that you have and the busy schedule that you're running. So now that you're here, we can be comfortable that we can discuss this budget better than we had. We're trying to make sure that we run this program the best way we could, but now that you're here, we're confident that we'll have a good discussion. We have from still Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Hamis Wanyera. Wanyera, I hope I get that right. Mr. Wanyera? Well, Miss Wanyera. Timothy Okware from URSB, Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Where is Timothy? If you don't find where Timothy is, they might register your company because you haven't updated it. URSB has been aggressive about that. Dr. Nalere at IPA. Dr. Nalere. Okay. Robert Wamala from Uganda Revenue Authority. Uganda Revenue Authority is running a very aggressive campaign to make sure they collect every coin that belongs to the government of Uganda. Charles Okolong. Where's Charles? Charles Okolong? Okay, maybe around. Ali Tagole from Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. You're most welcome, sir. Speaking to us. Agnes Isembo from UN Women. Where's Agnes? From UN Women. Okay, I'll read out a few other names as we move along. Now that we have PS here, Okay, I did introduce Mumtaz Ismail. If you could come and speak to us, I'll give you 3 minutes. 3 minutes, make your presentation, then I'll have the PSST come here and speak to us. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. I'm Mumtaz Ismail from Office of the Auditor General. Mine is to introduce to you the CFP, which is a citizens feedback platform. You've seen the videos. I'll ask them to play the videos as our colleagues go onto the floor to help you upload the CFP. Thank you. Well, as they play the videos, CFP is a citizens feedback platform that actually allows the Auditor General to link up with the citizens. So in there, we get the issues and integrate them into the audit report. So we've been receiving issues, you've been submitting the issues, thank you very much. But again, still, we need more issues from you. So as Mr. Mukunde previously said, we need your participation, and that's why we are here today. Kindly upload the platform onto your phones, and let's hear from you. That project in your village, that road, that health center, kindly let us know about it. By you telling us about the project, we will also come out, audit it, and in a way or the other, it benefit your own society and community, and in the end of it all, the country. The video, please.
Introducing Citizens Feedback Platform, a platform by OAG, where citizens can involve the Office of the Auditor General on tax-related concerns. The Office of the Auditor General is a supreme audit institution of the Republic of Uganda, mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1990, to display and reports about good governance, transparency, and effective accountability in management and use of public resources. The new Uganda, where children, intellectual places, and as much as all issues of health, agriculture, water, education, sports, infrastructure, electricity, the participation and information with our citizens will help us the auditor and issue rates hereby within the community. With this application, citizens has always been on your back. So, on the OA, the citizens feedback platform and help you to your community. Inform, engage, influence. CF Initiative is the relationship with the auditor. Consent.
Thank you. We have all the references on our tables. Kindly look at those references and upload the CFP platform. And let's have the video for the uploading of the CFP, please.
Delivering public goods and services is a process that requires joint efforts and participation. We hear some of people together. Introduce Citizens Feedback, a platform that OAG, where citizens can involve the Auditor General on tax-related concerns. The Office of the Auditor General is a supreme institution of the Republic of Uganda, mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1990. How to download it? Visit Google Play Store and download that Citizens Feedback platform. You can choose to or reward. I just choose with their creations. Once logged in, I will just
Thank you. We'll be on the floor to take you through the CFP. Kindly engage, influence, and let's change Uganda. Thank you.
So we can help the office of the Editor General point to places that things have not gone right with this app. Mr. PSST, allow me to now invite you to come and address us. I request you to do 3 functions. Number 1 is you give us your official opening remarks and declare this high-level dialogue open. Number 2 is launch this CFP. And number 3 is give us your keynote address. After that, I'll ask you to stay here so that the members here can ask you a few questions and we have an interaction. Thank you, sir. It's unfair when we choose to give you a handicap to give it like the weatherman. Huh? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The MC, all of the colleagues, senior government officials, the executive directors of the various civil society organizations. I've seen a number of leaders, present and former, of different entities. My colleagues from academia, the various private sector players who could be here, of course the media, and all of you, ladies and gentlemen, the participants. Good afternoon. It's already evening to you. First, apologies for coming in a little late. Actually, today I've understood the depth of relationship having with the civil society. I wouldn't be here, but I've tried. I'm sure if someone saw me somewhere, I hope none of these televisions is live. They shouldn't see me here. But I had to come because this is my meeting. We work very closely with the civil society organization, Arthur, and Julius, and your colleagues. Thank you for the support that you give government by holding us accountable. The support is holding the government accountable, because without civil society, vibrant civil society, as well as media, a lot of things that happen in the government perhaps would not have happened. It is the civil society, it's the media that keep most of us awake to ensure that we deliver what we are supposed to do when we are in government. I was assigned by my minister to come and represent him. I have his speech. I had to deliver a keynote address. And now this man is giving me more tasks. I'm going to perform for them.
and I will perform all of them with the relevant stakeholders, taking into account the consideration balanced development. We need development across the country, gender and equity responsiveness, and ensuring that all citizens of Uganda are heard. We don't just listen to them, but they are heard, and their views are included in the budget. So I'm very glad, and I would like to thank the budget transparency partners who have partnered with government through the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to engage all the citizens of Uganda to participate in the budget process. Specifically, I would want to very much thank both the executive directors of Accord and CISBAG for not only organizing this function, because I think some of you guys were happy with them for organizing the function in which we can come together and engage, but for continuously working with us to make the budget of Uganda more inclusive and transparent. As you recall, my minister, when he was presenting his budget last week, he identified a number of things in the budget, themes which have been catered for and announced for nearly every citizen in Uganda. I hope there's nobody in this room who never had themselves in the budget. If you are there, I'd like to know fall under which category, and next time, make sure that we also include that category. The theme of this dialogue, which focuses on transforming the challenges into opportunities, while at the same time prioritizing growth with a focus on people-centered outcomes, is consistent with the theme of our budget for next year. The biggest constraint to our social transformation in Uganda has been focusing our efforts on identifying challenges instead of also looking at opportunities, which usually they are at our disposal, they are in front of us, but because our minds are so much on the challenges, sometimes we fail to seize them. I would like to call upon all of us, Ugandans, look at how do we get the opportunities. As you are aware, the 72 1.1 trillion shilling budget, which was approved by Parliament and already presented to the country by my minister, has a theme of full monetization of the economy of Uganda through commercial agriculture, industrialization, services, as well as digital transformation and market access. It's a mouthful of a theme because itself is targeting inclusiveness. All of the things I've mentioned there is what constitutes the Ugandan economy. Our main target now in Uganda is how do we get all Ugandans to at least participate in one of those areas we've mentioned: commercial agriculture, industrialization, services, including our digital transformation and market access. If we could do, all of us, embrace one of those or a couple of them, of those areas, trust me, we'll build a very robust economy. We shall live better lives. This budget, as the minister told you, is the last we are going to implement under NDP 3. Next budget we shall be presenting will be anchored on another plan. NDP 3 is gone. And also, it is going to be a budget which is anchored on a government strategy of growing the economy tenfold by accelerating our growth driven by 4 major sectors. Again, agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral development, including oil and gas, and then science, technology, and in those areas. The budget, therefore, reflects the need to have all-inclusive economy, where, among others, all Ugandans that are still stuck in subsistence economy are fully integrated into the money economy, focusing on the opportunities where the economy has a comparative advantage. And those are the areas which have been modeled by the experts. The financing, how are we going to finance this big budget? Because some Ugandans have said, this is a very big budget.